If you're new here, make sure you subscribe, because some stories aren't just told, they stay with you. Some nights change everything, not because of what happened, but because of what almost did. And sometimes, the most dangerous secrets are the ones no one ever says out loud. I wasn't supposed to be part of that night. That's the first thing I need to say, because even now, I replay it over and over in my head like there was another version of events. One where I stayed upstairs, kept my bedroom door closed, turned on the television, and pretended I didn't hear anything. There was absolutely a version where I did the right thing. But that isn't the version that happened. I heard everything. It started like any ordinary Friday in a quiet suburban neighborhood. The kind where every house looks almost identical, where porch lights come on at the same time every evening, where people wave politely and keep their real lives hidden behind curtains. Nothing dramatic was supposed to happen there. Nothing ever did. My husband, Mark, was out of town for work. Chicago, I think. Or maybe Denver. Somewhere forgettable. He traveled often enough that the details blurred together. Suitcase by the stairs. Airport coffee. A rushed goodbye at 6 in the morning. Promises to call before bed. Routine. The house always felt different when he was gone. Not lonely exactly. Just quieter. Too quiet. That weekend, it was just me and Tyler. Mark's son. 19 years old. Freshman in college. Home for the weekend with a duffel bag full of laundry, and the restless energy of someone caught between being a teenager and becoming a man. He wasn't a kid anymore. That was part of the problem. People love pretending there's a clear line between childhood and adulthood. Like someone turns 18, and suddenly the world rearranges itself neatly. But it doesn't work like that. It's messy. One day they're asking where the cereal is, and the next they're driving themselves home from campus and talking about internships and rent and girls. Tyler lived in that blurry place. Old enough to be independent. Young enough to still look lost in his own house sometimes. I'd been in his life for 5 years by then. Not his mother. I never tried to be. His actual mom was still around, still present, still very much alive, and I respected that boundary. I wasn't there to replace anyone. I was just there. His dad's wife. The person who reminded him to take leftovers when he left for campus. The one who asked how exams went. The one who knew he hated mushrooms and loved terrible action movies. Somewhere in the middle. We got along. That was what made everything worse. Because if we had hated each other, if there had been distance or resentment or coldness, maybe none of it would have mattered. But there wasn't. There was comfort. Familiarity. Trust. And trust, I would later learn, is sometimes the most dangerous thing in the world. That night, I was standing in the kitchen cleaning up after dinner, rinsing dishes under warm water, trying to ignore the silence of the house. The dishwasher hummed softly. The clock above the stove ticked too loudly. I remember thinking I should call Mark. I remember not doing it. That's when Tyler walked in. He leaned against the kitchen counter the way he always did. Hoodie half-zipped, messy hair. That permanently tired college student looked like sleep had become a rumor instead of a reality. But something was off. There was a nervousness in him. A kind of restless pacing without actually moving. The kind of energy people carry when something is sitting heavy on their mind. "Hey," he said. Casual. But not really. I glanced at him while drying a plate. "Hey, you okay?" He hesitated. Then he laughed a little, but it sounded forced. "Yeah. I mean, maybe not." That should have been my cue. Keep it light. Keep it distant. Stay in the safe territory of normal conversation. But I didn't. I turned fully toward him. "What's up?" He scratched the back of his neck, looking down at the floor like he was trying to decide whether or not to say it. Finally, he did. "I've got a girl coming over tonight." I smiled automatically. "Okay. That's normal." He gave a short laugh. "Yeah, but it's not just like hanging out." There was something in his voice that made me pause. Not excitement. Nerves. Real nerves. The kind that made my stomach tighten before I even understood why. "Oh," I said, quieter now. He nodded once. "Yeah. First time." There are moments in life where your body reacts before your mind catches up. That was one of them. A strange tightening in my chest. An awareness I had no business feeling. He was 19. An adult. This was normal. healthy even. Part of life. It had absolutely nothing to do with me. And yet standing there, in that quiet kitchen with the yellow overhead light and the smell of dish soap in the air, it suddenly felt like the whole house was holding its breath. You okay with that? I asked. He let out a breath and rubbed his hands together. Honestly, I have no idea what I'm doing. I laughed softly, trying to keep it normal. No one does the first time. That's kind of the whole thing. Yeah. But then he looked at me. Really looked at me. And something changed. What if I mess it up? It wasn't really about sex. I knew that immediately. It was about confidence. About fear. About that quiet male panic nobody talks about. The terror of not being enough. Of failing some invisible test everyone else seems to pass naturally. There was something painfully vulnerable in it. And for one dangerous second, I forgot every boundary that should have been standing there between us. You're not going to mess it up, I said. He stayed quiet. So I kept going. Just don't overthink it. Be honest. Pay attention to her. Make sure she feels comfortable. That matters more than anything. He nodded slowly, like he was memorizing every word. Thanks, he said. Then after a pause, I just didn't know who else to ask. That should have been the end of it. Just a conversation. Harmless. Forgettable. But it wasn't. Because something shifted after that. Something small. Something invisible. But real. I felt it. Even if I refused to admit it. Around 9 o'clock, she showed up. I heard the front door open from upstairs. Voices. A girl laughing nervously. I stayed in my room. At least, that's what I told myself I was doing. Giving them space, being respectful, not making it awkward. But the truth? I was listening. Her name was Chloe. I caught that much when Tyler introduced her. She sounded sweet. A little shy. The kind of girl who probably spent the drive over rehearsing what to say. I sat on the edge of my bed with a glass of wine in my hand, staring at nothing, pretending I was relaxing. But my ears were tuned to every sound downstairs. At first, everything was normal. Television on low. Muted conversation. That awkward small talk people use when both of them know the real reason they're there. Then the television turned off. And silence took its place. Loud silence. The kind that fills a house like smoke. I took a sip of wine. My heart was beating faster, and I hated myself for noticing. I should have turned on music. Taken a shower. Called a friend. Done literally anything else. But I didn't. I waited. Minutes passed. Then footsteps. Moving toward Tyler's room. A door closing. And then, nothing. That was when my mind started going places it shouldn't. Imagining things. Filling silence with pictures I never should have allowed myself to create. I stood up. Started pacing. This was ridiculous. Why did I care this much? Why was I standing in my own bedroom like a jealous stranger in a story I didn't belong in? I told myself it was concern. That was the lie I chose. He was nervous. Inexperienced. Vulnerable. What if something went wrong? What if he needed help? That was the excuse I clung to when I stepped into the hallway. I didn't go downstairs at first. I just stood at the top of the stairs listening. There were voices now. Muffled. A nervous laugh. Then. Wait. Chloe. Faint but clear enough. Another pause. Then her voice again. I don't know if I can do this. My stomach dropped. There was a silence after that so heavy it felt physical. Like the air itself had cracked. Then Tyler's voice, low and strained. It's okay. We don't have to. But it didn't sound okay. It sounded like someone trying very hard not to let disappointment show. And that should have been the moment I turned around. Went back upstairs. Closed the door. Let them handle their own lives. But I didn't. I walked downstairs slowly, every step feeling like I was crossing into something I wouldn't be able to walk back from. And deep down, before anything truly happened, I think I already knew that.